Hello everyone, welcome back to Factory Discovery. Today we discuss about very interesting topic how banana blossoms are processed in traditional factories. Part 1. The flower nobody talks about. Picture a banana tree. The way most people in the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom actually picture one. Smooth yellow fruit, curved, sitting in a bowl on a kitchen counter. That image is almost the entire relationship most Western consumers have with bananas. Peel it, eat it, move on with the day. But hanging from that same plant, just above where the fruit clusters form, is something almost nobody outside a handful of countries has ever truly looked at closely. A massive, dark maroon, teardrop-shaped flower, heavy and waxy, dangling downward like a strange lantern at the end of the stalk. This is the banana blossom, and what happens to it after it is cut down is a process so rough, so manual, so far removed from the polished supermarket experience most Western shoppers know, that stepping inside the factory where it gets processed feels almost like stepping backward in time. There are no robotic arms here. No sterile white conveyor belts gliding under fluorescent lighting. Instead, picture concrete floors stained dark from years of plant sap and tannins, the air thick and slightly sweet with a smell that is part vegetable, part something almost floral, and underneath it all, the constant wet slap of knives against fibrous plant matter, wielded by hands that have done this exact motion tens of thousands of times. For decades, banana blossoms were treated as agricultural waste in most commercial banana operations, something farmers cut away and discarded simply to redirect the plant's energy toward fruit production. But in certain processing regions, mostly across South and Southeast Asia, a rougher, scrappier industry grew up around this discarded flower, transforming it into a genuine food product, one that has slowly found its way onto menus in trendy restaurants across London, vegan cafes in Toronto, and specialty grocery aisles in cities like Los Angeles and New York. What makes this particular factory worth examining is exactly how unrefined the process still is, even today. While massive fruit and vegetable processing operations around the world have modernized with automated peeling machines, laser sorting systems, and computer-controlled packaging lines, banana blossom processing has largely resisted that transformation. It remains, almost defiantly, a hand-driven, knife-driven, instinct-driven craft, passed down through generations of workers who learned the trade not from a manual, but by standing next to someone older who showed them exactly where to cut. Over the next several minutes, we are walking directly into that world, watching how a tough, bitter, almost inedible-looking flower gets transformed, layer by layer, cut by cut, into something genuinely consumed at dinner tables across the Western world, often by people who have absolutely no idea what they are actually eating or where it came from. Part 2. The harvest. Cutting down the lantern before any blossom reaches the rough concrete floor of the processing shed. It has to be cut from the plant itself, and this stage alone reveals just how physically demanding this entire industry actually is. Banana plant plants grow tall, often reaching heights of 15 to 20 feet, and the blossom hangs at the very tip of the fruit stalk, well above a worker's reach in most cases. Harvesters use long-handled blades, sometimes simple machetes mounted on extended poles, climbing partway up makeshift ladders, or simply standing on the uneven, muddy ground at the base of the plant, reaching upward with practiced, confident swings. Timing matters enormously here, and it is a skill built entirely on experience rather than instrumentation. Cut the blossom too early, and the plant has not yet finished producing all the fruit clusters it would have otherwise grown beneath it, reducing the farmer's overall fruit yield unnecessarily. Cut it too late, and the blossom itself becomes tougher, more fibrous, and noticeably more bitter, qualities that make it considerably harder to process into something palatable later in the factory. Experienced harvesters develop an almost intuitive sense for this window, judging the blossom's color, firmness, and the number of fruit hands that have already emerged beneath it, all without a single piece of measuring equipment. Once cut, the blossom is heavy, dense, and surprisingly awkward to carry. A single mature blossom can weigh several pounds, and workers typically gather dozens at a time, stacking them into woven baskets or simply cradling them against their bodies as they make their way back toward the collection point. There is no refrigerated truck waiting at the edge of these smaller, rougher operations. Often it is simply a bicycle cart, a motorbike with a wooden platform attached to the back, or in some of the most remote operations, workers carrying the harvest directly on their shoulders along narrow dirt paths back toward the processing shed. This is physically punishing work, performed largely in intense heat and humidity, and it happens almost entirely outside the awareness of the eventual consumer thousands of miles away. Someone ordering a banana blossom salad at a restaurant in Manchester or a vegan pulled pork sandwich made from banana blossom. In Vancouver is, often without realizing it, connected directly to this exact moment, a worker swinging a blade above their head. In tropical heat, judging by eye alone whether this particular flower is ready to be cut. By the time the harvested blossoms actually arrive at the rough processing facility, hours of physically demanding labor have already gone into simply getting the raw material through the front door, and the real transformation work has not even begun yet. Part 3. The outer armor, stripping the bracts inside the processing shed. The first task facing every single banana blossom is the removal of its tough outer layers, known as bracts. These are the thick, waxy, deep maroon to purplish leaves that form the blossom's protective outer shell, and they are genuinely difficult to work with. Inedibly bitter, fibrous almost to the point of being woody, and coated in a sticky, sap-like residue that stains hands and clothing within minutes of contact. These outer bracts must be peeled away entirely before reaching anything close to usable material underneath. Workers typically seated on low wooden stools arranged around a central work table, or sometimes simply crouched on the concrete floor. Itself, grip each blossom firmly and begin peeling back the outer bracts one by one, much the way someone might peel layers off a particularly stubborn artichoke, except on a considerably larger and tougher scale. Each bract gets pulled back and snapped off at its base, revealing another layer underneath, slightly lighter in color, slightly less tough, but still far from ready. This stage produces an enormous volume of discarded plant material, piling up around the workstations in heaps that get periodically swept aside, sometimes repurposed as animal feed for nearby livestock, sometimes used as mulch or compost material returned directly to the banana fields themselves. Almost nothing about this rougher, older-style operation follows a polished, zero-waste marketing narrative. It simply happens, organically, because discarding tough, fibrous material onto farmland that will eventually decompose into useful soil amendment is the most practical option available, not because anyone designed it as an intentional sustainability initiative. The sap released during this bract removal stage genuinely stains skin a dark brownish color within minutes, and experienced workers often coat their hands beforehand with vegetable oil or simply accept that their hands will carry tannin stains for days afterward. A small but very real physical mark of this trade. The smell during this stage is distinctive too, slightly bitter, slightly green, almost like crushed grass mixed with something faintly metallic, an odor that fills the entire shed and lingers on clothing long after workers leave for the day. By the time the outer bracts have all been stripped away, what remains is the blossom's inner heart, smaller, paler, and considerably more delicate looking, though still requiring extensive further work before it resembles anything close close to a finished food product recognizable to a Western consumer. Part 4. The bitter core. Removing the florets beneath the tough outer bracts of every banana blossom lies a structure that genuinely surprises most people seeing it for the first time. Tiny, immature banana florets, dozens upon dozens of them, arranged in tight rows, each one a miniature, undeveloped version of it. Actual banana, except completely inedible in this raw state, hard, starchy, and intensely bitter from natural tannins concentrated within the plant. Tissue. Workers must carefully remove every single one of these tiny florets, along with a thin, papery membrane that separates each row from the next, before the remaining blossom material becomes usable. This is painstaking, repetitive work, performed almost entirely by hand using small paring knives, and it demands an enormous amount of patience and dexterity. A single experienced worker might process dozens of blossoms in a single shift, each one requiring this same meticulous floret removal, row after row, layer after layer, until the entire core has been cleaned. This stage is where the rough, unglamorous nature of this old-school factory becomes most apparent. There is no automated separating machine here, no vibrating screen sorting florets from membrane material the way a modern food processing facility might handle a similar separation task. It is simply human hands, working with small blades, repeating the same precise motion thousands of times throughout a single working day, guided entirely by tactile feel and years of accumulated muscle memory. Workers often develop genuinely impressive speed at this task over years of practice, their hands moving almost faster than the eye can comfortably follow. Flicking away unwanted florets and membrane material in a separate collection bins with barely a pause between blossoms. Yet, even at this practice speed, the work remains fundamentally limited by human hand speed, meaning this stage of production simply cannot be rushed or scaled up the way a mechanized process could be. This is precisely why banana blossom, despite growing demand in Western specialty food markets, remains a relatively niche, somewhat expensive product compared to more heavily industrialized vegetables. The labor embedded in every single blossom is genuinely substantial, and it shows up directly in the final price tag on a grocery shelf in Brooklyn or Bristol. Once the florets and membranes have been fully removed, what remains is the blossom's tender inner heart. The actual edible portion that will eventually become a recognizable food ingredient. Part 5. The soak. Fighting OF the tannins even after the tough outer bracts and bitter florets have been removed. The remaining banana blossom heart is still loaded with natural tannins, the same family of plant compounds responsible for the astringent, mouth-puckering bitterness found in unripe persimmons or strong black tea. Left untreated, this tannin content would make the blossom genuinely unpleasant to eat, and worse, exposure to air causes the cut surfaces to rapidly rapidly oxidize, turning an unappealing brown color within minutes, much the way a sliced apple browns when left on a counter. To combat both problems simultaneously, workers plunge the clean blossom hearts directly into large basins filled with water mixed with either lemon juice, vinegar, or in some older, more traditional operations, a diluted turmeric solution. This soaking stage serves two critical purposes at once. The acidic water helps draw out a meaningful portion of the remaining bitter tannins, softening the harsh flavor. Considerably, while simultaneously preventing the oxidation process that would otherwise turn the pale blossom flesh an unappetizing brown before it ever reaches a cooking pot or packaging line. These soaking basins are typically large, weathered plastic or metal containers, often repurposed from other agricultural uses, arranged in rows along one side of the processing shed. Blossom hearts are submerged for anywhere from 20 minutes to several hours, depending on the specific operation's traditional methods, with workers periodically checking color and texture by hand, again relying entirely on experience and visual judgment rather than any chemical testing equipment or measured timer. This is one of the most visually striking parts of the entire process for an outside observer. Murky, slightly yellow-tinted water filled with pale, almost ivory-colored blossom pieces, slowly turning even paler as the acidic soak does its work, while nearby workers continue stripping and trimming additional batches destined for their own turn in the basins. The rhythm of this stage rarely stops throughout an operating day,